So what was that about the salad committee, Paula? Welcome, everyone. We have minutes from October 21st.
I move to accept the minutes.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have two road encroachments. One is from Marty Klinker, and it's for entrance, and it's south of 4th Road on 10th Lane. And he's gonna, Alan told him he needs an 18-inch culvert for the approach, so.
What direction? 4th Road?
It's on the eastern side of the bench, kind of towards the east of the Fairfield
We don't
Range.
have a northeast and northwest.
Well, that's 4th Road, 10th Lane.
Northeast.
Northeast, okay.
So if I have a motion on that,
I move to
I'll second.
accept that.
any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have another encroachment permit from Kirk Moore, and it's on Ken Rice's place on 15th Road, and it's just widening the approach into a hay corral, and that would be north of Bynum now.
I move to accept that.
Do we have a directional again? 15th Road?
15th Road.
Yeah,
Goes
Northwest.
north.
northwest?
Yeah. You made the motion, Dick?
I did.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. That brings us to the Fire Fee Board would like us to appoint Jeff Horak to finish out Vern Grimes' term.
And Steve came in and
Yep.
recommended
And
that.
brought us a letter.
I would move to accept.
I would second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, Paul, that brings us to the Meadows Ranch easement.
So you'll see that we have two conservation easements on the agenda, and that's fairly typical for this time of year, trying to fit them into the calendar year. They ask for comment. It, again, is what Montana code says. They need to be submitted to the counties for comment. So we aren't looking for any formal motion, anything like that, just whatever comments you may want to be passed along. In this case, it's a conservation easement between Meadows Ranch, Inc. and the Conservation Fund, a Maryland nonprofit corporation.
Conservation Fund.
Yes, that's probably enough.
Oh,
That's their
okay.
name. Yeah, I'm just. So I'm gonna call up this map. So again, this is how our county GIS page works. I'm at this location here. Here are all the featured maps. The one that I think we use most is this one, but we aren't going to use that today. Here's conservation easements. So this is not like right up to date, just to let you, I mean, there's going to be some that have occurred since all this mapping took place. But I like to start here because I think that's what we're really looking at, is the big picture of how conservation easements might be affecting Teton County. So I think it's way better to look at, oh, look how much is colored and where it's being colored and that kind of thing, as to any one particular individual easement. But to get to the particulars of this one, it's about, probably starts about 5 miles primarily west of Choteau, so going out the Bellevue Road. The total amount of acres in the easement are 7,556 acres. And it does kind of start to fill in some of the gaps here, but that are not under easement. Okay, that is not quite where I want to be. That's where I want to be. So, Meadows Ranch Inc. Meadows Ranch Inc. And I suppose I should show you, which one is it? This one. Yeah, so the ones that, everything outlined in red would be covered by this easement.
Oh, okay.
So you can see the biggest block is up here, and I just clicked on a couple of these sections here. That's the Bellevue Road, I think is right.
Okay, now what's the little...
That's a state ground.
Oh, okay.
So, see, well, DNRC is what it's labeled as.
Okay.
Yeah. So all this blue, and so that was one of the comments or questions from one of the planning board members was, how does this, you know, as this starts to fill in, how does it affect access to some of the lands?
Mm-hmm.
You know, this one is very good spelling out that any existing right-of-ways are all staying in place. Any existing right-of-ways for highways, roads, railroads, canals, laterals, electrical transmission lines, telephone line, telegraph. I don't know about that one, but it's in here. Cable lines, and all outstanding mineral rights. So if they're in place now, the easement doesn't affect any of those. So could something still, I mean, something could be landlocked and an easement might make it even more difficult for somebody to go and ask for an easement for utilities or an access easement. But
Is this land primarily all in agricultural production right now?
yes. I'm pretty sure this is built on a pivot is why,
Okay.
but most of it is native grass
Grass.
actually. Yeah. So,
And no new construction?
pardon?
And no new construction?
Well, that's too general, Dick. I mean, there can be new construction, but it's going to limit that new construction fairly substantially. This one spells out like some rather gray building areas. They put it into a quarter section of land. So where you can build is either in this quarter section and or this quarter section. So that's tends to be the type of limitation you see with these. Is it rarely says, I mean, it says no to a few things, and one of them is subdividing the property. But it generally says if you build something, you'll build it to our way of thinking, and yeah, you'll have to submit any design plans and all that kind of stuff.
And they're limited to agricultural buildings. There's no commercial use.
Right, commercial
Yeah,
use,
that's
right.
prohibited,
And so
which is pretty common.
yeah, residential is still okay.
Yeah.
It is in perpetuity, I think anymore, that's standard language. I did highlight that, and again, some people may get confused. I mean, it's not like this is now open to the public. No rights herein are granted to the general public for access or entry upon the land subject to this grant of easement for any purpose. So it's not like, oh, there's new hunting ground or whatever people might want to do on that. So I may submit a comment that on page 5 of this document, it says that wetlands or wildlife habitat on lands are identified in Exhibit A. I think that right there, what we're looking at up there is Exhibit A. I don't see them identified there. I mean, when you look at the legend, some things are identified, but I don't believe wetlands are. And it does say cropland areas are depicted in Exhibit A. But so Joe, you asked about, so this is in the prohibited uses, which is Exhibit D. It does say erecting, constructing, developing, placing any commercial energy facility on the protected property or using the property in support of a commercial energy facility or infrastructure. Examples of such, but are not limited to wind, solar, geothermal, nuclear, or ethanol. You know, again, I think all of that it's negotiated between the two parties. You can put almost anything you want in there. I suppose there are some kind of criteria that are laid out in what should be in an easement, but it's like, yeah.
Yeah, I guess the only effect it would have on the county is if we ever needed gravel in that area. That's prohibited. But I've made that comment on almost every
Right.
conservation easement. So
Right.
they're probably getting tired of hearing that.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to change anyone's mind.
No.
So,
Well, and again, you know, the way I kind of look at that is the person whose land it is giving up, they're selling that right to the conservation fund instead of selling it to Teton County.
Yep.
I guess Andy up there.
Yep.
We don't want to raise taxes to do that.
So that would be my only comment.
yeah, I don't have anything else.
Okay, with that, if there are no more, I'd move on to the next one. So the second conservation easement that we're looking at is between Spring Coulee Creek Farm and the Montana Land Reliance. And it looking for the acres. Relatively small. But conservation easement standards.
Isn't it 360? It's a little over half a section and 2 pieces.
Seems like it was 3 something.
Yep, 360 is right.
Okay.
And then the other thing that I think, and it differentiates that, again, when we're looking at the big picture of Teton County, This one is okay. So the location is 4th Road Northeast and 10th Lane.
And where is this in relationship to, say, Fairfield?
It's
The power.
about 5 miles southwest of Power.
Okay. And who are Spring Coulee Creek? Spring Coulee Creek Farm.
So I can tell you that it is Mark Lee. Beyond, there's probably other people involved in that LLC. That's why I'm hesitant. That's
Okay.
the only reason why I hesitate is I don't know who the, whether it's a board or whatever,
Okay.
but and that's MARC, Mark Lee.
Okay.
And so Spring Creek, is that right, Dick? Spring Creek
Yeah,
runs
that's
through
okay.
the middle of that? And it's really just a really deep coulee. I mean, you can start to pick up some of that.
Yeah, it's the one between 3rd and 4th.
Right. Over the years, I've thought about those coulees out there because they always aggravated the heck out of me when I was doing the weed side of things. It's like there's no motivation for a landowner because this landowner, there's no real good use of those really deep, severe coulees. I mean, even grazing is pretty marginal on most of that. So it's like, okay, what are you going to do to make this somewhat productive? And Mark Lee thinks a conservation easement on a 360 acres of it is one way to, I guess, make it somewhat productive to him.
And I see they did put a center pivot on part of that.
So probably it must be like in a flat up here, maybe.
Where's 11th?
So this is the section line.
Okay, so then go back up and down, right in there is where they put the pivot.
In the bottom of that,
It's on the hillside.
Oh. So they've got hay there?
Yeah.
Okay.
and so it's this piece, and that piece. So maybe it's not this one, that's somebody else's, yeah. So that's how it's strung together, is this piece, and this piece.
And those two are irrigated also.
Yeah. So the comments from the planning board, I guess I mean, most of them were like, yep, that looks fine. I got 2 comments. One from Ross Salmon says, Spring Coulee Creek Ranch has a pending project. Maybe that isn't his email. I think that's the one I submitted question. Yeah, one question there that needs to be addressed by MLRA has to do with an ongoing 310 permit for stream work on the property. The work has not been completed and the 310 permit has recently been extended 1 year. So I just forwarded that and did get a response, I think it was just this morning, from Montana Land Reliance. And it does say MLRA is aware that Mark is doing a stream restoration project that will put together or put log weirs in Spring Coulee Creek. Mark relayed that he has an approved 310 permit, not a pending permit. Whatever. We don't think Mark's project would run afoul of the proposed easement, nor that the easement would impact the Conservation District's ability to require certain things in a 310 permit, especially because the water resource paragraph in the easement does require notice and approval from MLR, unless the project could adversely impact the conservation values. So again, I feel like my spot in this was just to pass the comment along. Whether that, the conservation district is potentially gonna butt heads over this easement, I don't know that for sure. And that, just an email response saying, I don't think there will be. I don't know. It's not like a contract anyway, so we will see. But I think actually the two probably mesh pretty well together in that what he's trying to accomplish with that 310 permit is something that Montana Land Reliance is aware of. How much they weigh in on how it's getting accomplished, that part is to be seen. So I think that's all I've got. Unless there's more questions about that one, like I said, it's just we've only done, I think, one kind of slightly out east, and it doesn't appear on the map yet, but as I recall, it was on Highway 221 going towards Dutton and before the Teton Ridge, in that area somewhere.
Oh,
Right, and it was just kind of an oddball, almost, it might have been only like 180 acres, it was just kind of,
okay.
All right, anybody have further comments?
What's on,
oh, there it is, right there.
what's on this
So, here it
property
is.
besides just a pivot and some irrigation? Are there any houses out there, or
No,
buildings, or barns, or anything?
right,
Okay.
not that I'm aware of.
Okay, yeah. I didn't think so, but I,
So there are building envelopes spelled out in this, and I think there's 3 of them. Yep. So there's 3 building envelopes that would still be available. And I guess they do.
oh, okay.
They do have that map up, so that's what it looks like. And this would be 10th Lane right here. And this one would be access road off of 4th Road, I suppose.
4th and 11th, yeah.
Yeah, off of 4th Road. Yeah. And I don't think 11th goes,
It stops.
goes through here, so.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know how they're gonna get access to the other buildings.
That one looks like, yeah.
The one in the middle here.
Yeah,
Well, so, I mean, that, whether it's any kind of developed road or not, it sure looks like it'd also be off of 10th Lane. Yeah, are you saying that like because of the topography, like it's too steep or?
Oh, no, there's just no road access in there.
Well, depends on how you define road.
Okay.
Any further comments? Okay, we'll go to the health department task order.
Sorry, Joe, I've got one more.
Okay,
comment.
yep.
I'm expecting that these will be the last conservation easements that I present to you guys. That the next ones will be presented by somebody else.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Okay, we have a task order from the health department, and it's in the amount of $57,925 for immunization services. So if I can get a motion on that.
I would move to accept that.
I would second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Commission reports.
I don't have anything.
No,
I don't either. Public comment.
So I just print
Yeah.
all the comments
Sit
that I
that
got
down.
from
No public
Yeah.
comment.
most of them were-
Our next meeting has been changed from November 9th to November 10th.
10 a.m.
Yep,
here.
yep. And it'll be a short meeting probably, unless our grant administrator gets windy on us.
And this is specifically Joe, there's only one agenda item, it's to approve the final draft, final.
It was the end of the comment period, which is still open. I should probably say that. We're still accepting comment on the,
Through 5 p.m. tomorrow.
yep.
I've actually received some public comment on the hazard mitigation plan, which is
Oh, have you?
delightful.
Oh, good, okay.
Yeah, that's good. I haven't received any comment.
No, I haven't either. I haven't had any calls.
Okay, with that, we'll adjourn the meeting.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Paul, thanks for your last presentation.
Pass.
I know. I was gonna do a little happy dance on the way back to his
So-
office.